Oh, I am a Liverpudlian, and I come from the Spion Cup. I love to sing, I love to shout, I get thrown out quite a lot. We support the team that's dressed in red. It's a team that you all know. It's a team that we call Liverpool, and to glory we will go. We've won the...
Hello, you lovely listeners, and welcome to the Plastic Scousers podcast. My name is Matt Simpson, and this is my co-host, a man whose signature moussaka dish caused a lot of problems and it was served at the Norwegian Embassy's annual charity gala. It's Owen Collins.
Yes, thank you very much, Matt, and hello everybody, welcome back. And yeah, thanks for bringing that up. It's a bit of an awkward story. I don't know if you know much about kind of a physiology of the Norwegian people, Matt, but they are inherently allergic to aubergine. Aubergine and minced lamb, and my own signature moussaka. And a lot of people disagree with this. Some people say you do it with pork. Some people just say do it with beef. Some people say you can make a vegetarian moussaka, which to my mind is heresy. But yeah, allergic to minced lamb and aubergine, and so a massive outbreak of vomiting and diarrhea all across the Norwegian embassy in Belgrave Square in London. And that was bad enough. You were seeing ambassadors literally scurrying for any sort of bucket-like vessel they could find. There were diplomats retching into waste paper baskets as far as the eye could see. But what was quite distressing was, as you said, it was a charity gala, and this year's charity was the Norwegian Incontinence Fund. And actually, rather than raising a lot of money for them, we depleted their resources massively this year. So I don't think I'll be invited back. It might be the beginning and end of my illustrious culinary career.
Yes, indeed. As we crest the hill of the season and start to look toward the trophies and titles, we here at the Plastic Scousers are on hand to give you all the games, goals and talking points from LSE's month in February. There's a total of 5 fixtures in both domestic and European competition to mull over, with the usual brand of insight and irreverence you know and love.
Very poetically put, sir. And as well as that, we get ready for award season by previewing some upcoming LFC-based films, and we push our knowledge to the limits in a new, tense, high-stakes quiz challenge. But first, in a radical change to the usual format, we will start with the football.
Yep, indeed, and we are in East London at a place that we have had quite a lot of joy over at the last few years. At the Olympic Stadium, the London Stadium, the home of West Ham United.
It's just Olympic Stadium, it's fine. Regular listeners to this podcast will know that I think the Olympic Stadium is the coolest name any sporting venue could ever have, and shame on West Ham for changing it to something quite so meaningless and anodyne as the London Stadium. You know what I mean? It's not even like they're one day we will play West Ham away, and I won't go on about this, but it's not even like they're the only club in London. Do you know what I mean?
It's not the biggest stadium in London either.
No, but like Fulham could play at the London Stadium, or Arsenal, or Brentford, or Barnet, or
Leyton Orient,
Dulwich Hamlet, Leyton Orient. Well, Leyton Orient nearly did play at the London Stadium.
Very true.
And they'd probably got a better name for it if they had done. But Streatham. Has Streatham got a team?
No.
So there's no football team in Streatham.
There is no football team in Streatham. No, my local team is Crystal Palace, and that's literally, I think, the closest. I know Dulwich has a team, but I think they're slightly further away from me. So.
Yeah. But again, Dulwich, Crystal Palace, they could all play at the London Stadium.
But it's West Ham.
I know, stupid team.
Yeah, stupid team. But as I said, in the last couple of years, we've had some great results there. Scored 4 both times we visited. Seems to be a good place. And we come into this on the back of a slightly iffy January where...
I mean, it was a typical Jurgen Klopp January. We'd lost for the first time in the legal season against Man City. We'd been knocked out of the FA Cup again, to Wolves again. We'd sort of just about kind of turned things around again with wins over Brighton and Crystal Palace. But then, it was particularly disappointing because the last game of January was a 1-1 draw with Leicester, which might not sound like a dreadful result on paper, but it was the night after Man City had lost to Newcastle. So it was a real kind of opportunity put a bit of to rebuild that lead over Man City. It was a real opportunity to strengthen extend our lead, and we'd blown it. And so the momentum of our season had really taken a hit in January, and it was something we struggled to maintain again at the start of February, wasn't it?
It really was. It was the Leicester performance at home, first time we dropped points at home all season in the league. It was a poor performance, and we needed a bounce back really, and we didn't do that. This was another poor showing.
It was. Disappointingly poor as well, because I was going to say we had a full strength team out, but there were a couple of slightly suspect faces in the starting lineup. Would you say?
Yeah, we saw James Milner at right back because we didn't really have anybody else to go there at this stage. Rafa Camacho was on the bench here. We had problems with Trent was injured, and we let Klein go, and Gomez is still out. So Milner's at right back, and in the midfield we played Adam Lallana, was a surprise inclusion. Yeah,
the lesser spotted Lallana, who's really kind of just become a bit of a forgotten man at Anfield this season and really last season. And you'd think really on paper, because West Ham haven't been having a great season. They've been a bit blowing hot and cold, and you'd think if there was a game for Adam Lallana to come in and prove himself and prove his worth, it would be this one. But it never quite seems to be the easy game you think it's going to be, does it?
No, we've beaten them first day of the season 4-0, but that was first day of the season. These things can always happen with a new manager and a bunch of new players. Also, a start for you talk about the less spotted Lallana. Keita, it's a rare start for him. It's all a little bit unusual, really. We were missing a few key players in that area with Henderson and Wijnaldum both being out, so we went down to the bare bones a bit.
Yeah, just look at the bench. Curtis Jones was on the bench. That's very rarely happens.
And it's it's a real sort of we're sort of running out of players a little bit, but we still have a team out that should be beating West Ham. And on a very very wet and miserable day on East London, after 20 minutes or so, where it was a bit messy, a bit tete-a-tete. One team.
Nice.
Yeah, sort of. Both teams.
Who does he play for these days?
Tete-a-tete. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I think he's in Brazil now. He's been getting on a bit.
He was assistant manager of Everton for a while.
Okay, fair enough. No, after 20, just over 20 minutes, it's that man again, Sadio Mane, who scored the goal against Leicester, opens the scoring for us here as well.
Yeah, or in one particularly quite racist piece of commentary I watched, Naby Keita got his first goal for the club.
Oh dear.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Really good build-up. Well, I was going to say really good build-up play on the right, sort of James Milner, a really good assist from him. But the debate sort of raged at the time over whether it was offside or not.
It's not really a debate, he's about 3 yards off.
Well, the kind of debate where Liverpool fans will literally overlook anything because it's Liverpool, and it's what I'm like.
It's not a debate. He's 3 yards offside.
Even I, and as I say, probably one of the most regularly blinded by passion. But yeah, he was way offside. You need a bit of luck.
You do, and we got it. We got it here certainly. And our ball comes in, drops to Mane, puts it in, and he's put us 1-0 up. And we think, okay, start of this. Now let's kick on again. Yeah,
absolutely. Actually, wasn't the goal we conceded against Leicester offside, or was it?
I can't remember.
No, I can't remember. We deserved a bit of luck anyway. I remember that, but and we thought it was going to be a really good sort of springboard for the rest of the game. But again, just as in the previous game against Leicester, early goal from Sadio Mane, but that seemed to be as good as it got. It was kind of that was the high point.
Yeah, it only took 6 minutes for West Ham to get an equaliser, deservedly so. They'd already caused us a few issues. It's Michail Antonio who just seems to score against this for some reason. He's
a funny player. 5 goals against Liverpool in 7 appearances. It's a pretty damn good record.
Seems to be a bit of a bogey player for us, against us. It's a clever set piece, actually. We get really undone by a free kick we think is going to be whipped in. It's actually played along the floor to Antonio on the right, and he puts it in the bottom corner. We've just switched off, really.
And I mean, he does sort of. Well, he kind of darts through our wall, really. As I say, they play it along the floor, and no one's really quite expecting it. And all of a sudden, he's broken through our sort of defensive line. And has got loads of space in the box, and it's only Naby Keita who's kind of on him. And I've got to say, I think Keita should have done a lot better here, because he kind of, if you can't get goal side, you kind of get, or rather, if you can't, do you know what I mean? He was sort of, basically, he was behind him and the wrong side of him.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just
the right side, but the wrong side.
We were. It was a clever bit of play, and I just think we weren't switched onto it really.
We weren't.
By the time we were, it was too late.
Well, I think by the time we were, I mean, I still think it was quite a soft goal to concede. It was a clever goal from West Ham, and I do actually quite like Mikel Antonio. So it's nothing against him, but I think Keita could have done better as the only sort of one tracking him once he burst into the box. But yeah, it certainly kind of dumbfounded Alisson a bit, and getting a goal past Alisson is not easily done this season. So
no, evidently not. I think the rest of the first half, it was a real struggle. We just didn't seem to have a lot of creativity. Didn't seem to be particularly flowing very well. There wasn't a lot of impetus from us, a lot of guile. It was, West Ham defended very well, but I mean they were the ones looking more threatening. Yeah,
a bit like at times your Leicester game, and it was just I think at times it was the pressure was to seep into Liverpool. I think we were starting to see a team who were conscious of that lead over City shortening as the game went on. Do you know what I mean? Who could feel the pressure of the points being dropped, and they weren't playing like a confident football team. They weren't sort of like this devastating dynamic unit that we've seen in the past this season, and I just worry about that.
It's I mean we've not necessarily been dynamic all season long, but we've been getting the results. But that's just stopped happening, and it's really genuinely frustrating. I mean the second half is very much of a muchness here. Really, there's again West Ham defend well. We have a lot of the ball, but we didn't do a lot with it. West Ham look very dangerous on the break. Probably should score again themselves, but fortunately for us don't. And the game ends 1-1. We've dropped another 2 points.
Yeah, I mean, even when we've not been dynamic this season, we've been dominant. Do you know what I mean? We've been quite, we've played with certainty. And like you look at the early games of season, it was kind of 2-0s and 1-0s and all of this, and it was quite scrapey wins. But they're a side with assurance and confidence, and that does seem to be dripping away from our game. And it's, as you say, 2 points dropped unquestionably. That leads over City becomes wafer thin, and what could have been a 10-point lead at the the beginning of January is now 1 point, I think.
A couple, yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
we've given City, who did win their games. We'll start to look at who the chaser or the hunter of the hunted, should I say? In the moment, they are still hunting us down, but we're giving them the opportunity to claw their way back. And it's 2 more drop points, and very frustrating considering the opposition really.
And another disappointing result on a Monday night. I bloody hate playing on Monday night. We never play well on a Monday night.
It is strange. I mean, I don't particularly enjoy watching us on a Monday night, mainly because I always have plans on Monday nights. But do you have a specific favourite kickoff time? Because I do.
Yeah, I think. I mean, obviously Saturday 3 p.m. is the it's the romantic one. I like Saturday lunchtime kickoffs, often because I will be impatient for Liverpool to play, and I will want us to play as soon as possible. So Saturday lunchtime is probably, for me, if it's not 3 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon, it's probably Saturday lunchtime is my favourite. I think, yeah.
See, I like a midweek evening game because it gives you something to look forward to. After
work.
That's
true. Yeah,
that's always good.
True.
But my favourite ones are Saturday evening kickoffs, like the 5:30 kickoff on a Saturday.
How come?
Because what you can do, I get it all planned out. If Liverpool play on Saturday 5:30, I will get some beers in about 5ish. I'll then have a couple of beers, watch the game at 5:30. Finishes about 7:30. Then I'll have a shower, get some takeaway on the order, and then I can be out by 8:30. Brilliant, great start to a night.
That does sound good.
I know, right? It's perfect. 5:30 on a Saturday.
What takeaway would you go for?
Oh, I don't know. Well, because I got Uber Eats, I like to pick and choose. Whatever takes my fancy, really. But the thing is, you get it ordered after the game finishes. Then you get in the shower, get yourself changed and sorted. By the time you get out, food's here.
That does sound like a well-oiled machine.
It is, and that's why I love the 5:30 kickoffs.
You've made a convincing argument there. I might have to try that next time.
There you go.
You're not still on Jose Enrique's sweet and sour pork balls, then? Is that what it was?
I can't remember. Oh no, sweet dumplings.
Dumplings, that was it. Jose Enrique pork dumplings.
I haven't had that Chinese in a while. No.
Is it still there?
Yeah, it's still there. I ain't going nowhere.
That's not to get bogged down in detail, but that's and again, not to in the days of GDPR, I don't want to give too much details away to as to where you live, but that Chinese is basically across the road from your house.
Yes.
So I mean that would have to be quite a quick shower.
It would. I mean, to be fair, because I can call up and pre-order. So.
What? And then just nip across when you're out of the shower and collect? Or?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's quite good because then you get a bit of fresh air as well.
You do, unless it's raining, in which case I'll probably just order in.
And actually, with the greatest of respect, I'm not sure, especially at like 7 o'clock on a Saturday night, the air will be particularly fresh from that end of Streatham.
No, London is not necessarily a clean city.
No.
But we get to leave London now as we go to our home game. We are at home to AFC Bournemouth.
Yes, which is a team we have quite a funny relationship with, but at home over the last few years it's generally been favourable.
Generally, yeah. Apart from the 2-2 draw, I'd say it's been.
That was a disappointing one.
Not pretty favourable. But this, we were certainly looking to this and thinking this is a game where Bournemouth won't come and sit back and defend, which is, time and again this season proving to be our, against Leicester and West Ham, that was our downfall. But Bournemouth aren't going to be doing that. It's a Saturday 3 p.m. kickoff, as you just mentioned. Typical romantic one of the rare ones we'll have this season. And yeah, there's more of a chance of us being able to sort of get forward and maybe create a bit more. If you see the lineup, Wijnaldum was back. He was in for Lallana, but otherwise it's pretty much the same team from West Ham. With Milner still playing at right back at this stage, although Trent is on the bench and gets a bit of time in this game.
Yeah, Hendo's back on the bench as well. So Curtis Jones and Alberto Moreno make way from the matchday squad.
Speaking on the game, this was a lot more like it, I think.
Yeah, from kickoff, really, it was a lot more like the Liverpool of earlier this season. Again, we saw an early goal from Sadio Mane.
Yeah, third game in a row.
I mean, basically the same kind of time. About 2 minutes later, than he scored against West Ham. It's kind of like Mane time, It
does seem to be. He does seem to be getting a lot of the early goals for us. This time it's whipped in from James Milner on the right, and he gets a header onto it. Smallest man on the pitch getting a header between the two centre backs. But hey, it's 1-0.
1-0. Great cross.
And it's 1-0, and that was deserved from the play that we'd had. We were very much, in the ascendancy, looked to be controlling a lot of the game. Bournemouth were trying to threaten when they could. They had one or two small opportunities, but for the most part it looked, for all the world, like we were going to dominate the game. But of course, with Sadio Mane having scored early, there was that kind of lingering sense of, oh God, is it third time? Is it third time the same problem?
Yeah, third game in a row. Yeah, it almost makes you wish Sadio Mane would stop scoring in the first half.
Yeah, I'll stop scoring the first goal.
Yeah. I think he's scored the opening goal more than any other player in our season at this point. Or certainly by the end of the month, I think.
That's not a normal stat, but we'll go with it.
We'll go with it. But yeah, about, almost exactly 10 minutes after Mane put us ahead, something happened which hasn't happened for a couple of games. Which was that we scored a second, and immediately you felt that kind of, not that we weren't playing relaxed anyway, but you just felt this kind of
relief.
a relief, a sense of the natural order of the universe coming together again.
Yeah, and you said a couple of games since this last happened, but it's been a very long time since this happened. Gini Wijnaldum was the player who scored.
Yeah, it has. Was it Spurs last time he scored?
But I mean, brilliant ball through from Andy Robertson. Gets another assist here. Wijnaldum breaks through the lines brilliantly, but this is one hell of a finish.
It is. It's the outside of his foot, isn't it?
Yeah, and on the volley, chips it over the keeper.
From quite a tight angle as well, from sort of kind of 40-degree angle.
Inside the 18-yard box. It's phenomenal. Yeah. What a finish.
It's magnificent. It's the sort of thing like kind of Robbie Fowler in his pride, in his pomp, would have been proud of.
I have to say, I think it's one of my favourite goals this season.
Yeah, it's
just artistry, and it's something we need to see more from him as well.
Yeah, I mean, it makes me, if he can score the goals like that, why can't he just score them normally? Do you know what I mean? Yeah, absolutely phenomenal goal. And as I say, it's great, not just for the sort of silky skill with which he did it, but just for kind of what it meant and the sense of relief and all.
Yeah, and he certainly could see that as well. I think he felt, because he knows he doesn't really score enough goals for us. So I think he's very much appreciative of that.
Yes.
And I mean, before half time, it could easily be more. We are absolutely dominant. And 2-0, it sort of, looks good for Bournemouth at this point.
Yeah, it does. I mean, they don't really look like they're going to find their way back into it, but, the opportunity is there. And if they come out battling at the start of the second half, who knows what could happen. They've done it before, but as it happens, they don't.
No, this was the perfect way to start the second half. In 3 minutes, it's that man Mo Salah to finish off a brilliant move, particularly for the skills of Roberto Firmino once again. Yeah,
sort of bottom right-hand corner of the penalty area as you look at it, I suppose you would say. It's always hard when you don't know what end of a pitch you have person's visualising it from. But on the sort of corner of the penalty area...
Yeah, the cop end, yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember who feeds the ball through to Firmino. It might be Salah, actually.
I might be Mane, I can't remember.
Yeah, but Salah, Firmino kind of gets it to the corner of the penalty area, does this beautiful sort of horizontal back heel across the face of goal. Salah picks it up, and as the defenders rush to him, just kind of rolls it into the far corner of the goal, past Artur Boruc. It's, beautiful goal.
It's a brilliant
beautiful
goal.
Assist.
It is a brilliant finish as well. I mean, perfect finish from Mo Salah.
But I mean, once you've seen that goal from Wijnaldum, it's kind of you think, it's an okay finish. Whereas ordinarily you think, what a goal, one of the goals of goals a week. But we are blessed.
We are, absolutely. I mean, fully. What's amazing for Firmino is he's just fully on the sprint as well. It's not like he's taking a touch. Fully on the run. That back heel is just phenomenal. It's just phenomenal. I mean, that's pretty much it for goals for the rest of the game. I mean, we are, quite frankly, how it's only 3 by the end of it is beyond everybody. Bournemouth really didn't come out at all in the second half, and it was just a case of how many, and unfortunately it wasn't any more.
Yeah, I was going to say, somehow that was all the goals. Could have been twice as many, but so in a way, Bournemouth will consider themselves to have got off quite lightly. But it's enough of a hammering for us. It takes us back to where we need to be.
Yeah, it's just what the doctor ordered, I think, certainly, and it was a much better performance and gave us great hope going into the rest of the month.
Yeah, and it also featured, we should mention this just before we forget, it was the first time Dominic Solanke has ever played against Liverpool in his career.
There you go.
There we go. He actually he didn't start the game, but he came on the hour mark for Jordan Ibe, also once of this parish. So, and poor Nathaniel Klein was obviously not allowed to be in the team, which Bournemouth were probably quite annoyed about because he's had a very good start to his spell there.
Absolutely. But yeah, so that was it. And before we get back to the Premier League, there was a little sojourn into the Champions League as it's back. We are in the round of 16, and we are at home in the first leg to, the champions of Germany, Bayern Munich.
It was an exciting draw, beaten semi-finalists last year by Munich. Obviously some incredible players in that team. People like James Rodriguez, Lewandowski, Manuel Neuer. Some of the best talents in world football. And yeah, it's just it's a shame to be at Anfield in the first leg because it's always better to be playing home second. But just as I say, great to be back in the Champions League after a couple of months' absence.
Yeah, and I think as we discussed when the draw was made, this wasn't the easiest draw by any stretch, but I think it was one I was quite looking forward to because we hadn't played them competitively apart from the Super Cup since the late 90s or something. And I was really kind of looking forward to seeing them. They've got a lot of good players, but I still thought they were a team. I thought they put up a real challenge, but I think we I was confident that we could beat them.
Yeah, I mean we've and it's other than the Audi Cup, the pre-season tournament in back in 2017. It was first. This time will be the first time we play in the Allianz Arena, and it's getting on for it's over 10 years old now, and it's kind of one of the great cathedrals of European football. So a lot to be excited about by this tie, yeah. But as it transpired, not an awful lot to be excited about in the first leg.
No, it was a frustrating tie against, we talked about, Bayern Munich is nothing else, are very experienced. If you look through the heart of that team, Manuel Neuer, Mats Hummels, Javi Martinez, Thiago, Robert Lewandowski, you've got Ribéry on the bench, you've got, there's a lot of experience on that side. And I think this performance, less so from us, but more from them, was indicative not only of their respect for us, because they basically came for a point, but how experienced and knowledgeable they are to get it. So let's have a quick look at the team. Most interesting thing is there is no Virgil van Dijk, who picked up a rash booking in the last game of the group stage against Napoli, and so was suspended for this, which meant that with absolutely no other options, Fabinho goes back into the heart of the defence alongside Joel Matip.
Yeah, for a minute, but I thought you were going to say he picked up a rash in the last game against Napoli.
He might have done, but I don't wish to know that kind of thing.
I mean, I would be sort of maybe minorly intrigued, but yes, you're right. So we're
on the February podcast. Owen is interested in Virgil van Dijk's rashes.
Yeah, well, where would you think the most interesting rash would be on Virgil van Dijk?
I don't want to have this conversation.
Because I reckon, I'll tell you what it is. I'll tell you what it used to be. Would be the nipples, right? Because obviously, do you remember playing sport at school and stuff? They always put the crest of the uniform or of the kit or whatever over the nipple, and if it was cold, your nipple would be grating against the embroidered back of the crest, and you would be scouring your nipples off. And of course, it's not such a problem for professional footballers these days because most of them tend to wear some sort of Under Armour or other branded Lycra undershirts under their actual kit, which you can see why they do it because a sort of nipple rash is a hateful experience, but you do feel that footballers have lost something as well, It's a bit like the kind of the flat caps and the pies and the terraces. You feel football's not quite the game it was when they're all coming off with, silky smooth nipples.
Trent Alexander-Arnold was also back in, and that was good to see him back in Liverpool after a few games out. The James Milner was on the bench. A more traditional. Well, I say more traditional back four with Fabinho in the centre half, and there's no centre backs on the bench whatsoever. In fact, the only defensive player of any note is Alberto Moreno, so that says a lot. We are threadbare.
I mean, James Milner would probably be on that bench as a defender, given that we got Shaqiri back on as midfield, but we really are running out of players massively.
Yeah, a lot of them are, Divock Origi, Daniel Sturridge, Jeremy Shaqiri, Adam Lallana. They're all very much forward-thinking players. So, yeah, hopefully no one else picks up any problems here. And in, there's not a huge amount to discuss in this game. I mean, the first half, actually, we're not particularly great. Bayern look more threatening. They seem to be handling us fairly well. Mo Salah looks off the pace. Firmino can't get into the game. The midfield are pretty anonymous. It's all a bit frustrating and not looking great.
Yeah, we're not. And it's weird because our European form this year has been definitely a tale of, I would say, a tale of two cities, to paraphrase Dickens, but it's really been more a tale of four cities. In Liverpool, we've been dominant and again dynamic and effusive and just totally controlling the game and looking like a very good side like we did in Europe last year. Whereas in Paris, Naples, and Belgrade, it's been an entirely different story, and there seems to be some slight sort of dissonance here because watching the performance, you would think we were playing the away leg first.
Yeah, it felt a bit like the away leg. I mean, the crowd weren't it was fantastic atmosphere before the game, but I think mainly down to the way Bayern played, and to a lesser extent how we weren't that great. It really nullified it, and I mean the second half was a lot better from us. I'd certainly say we controlled the game a lot better, but we didn't look particularly inventive or creative, and didn't create that many chances. You can talk once again about Jurgen's use of substitutions with 15 minutes ago, bringing on Milner and Origi. When you've got Shaqiri and Sturridge and, sat on the bench, you probably would have a bit more creatively.
Yeah.
But, I mean, in the end, it is 0-0. It's not a brilliant result.
It's not a brilliant result. As I say, our home form has been far superior in Europe this season to our away form.
Well, we've lost every away game, so, I mean, do the maths, we're not going through.
Yeah, true. But you still fancy us to score in Munich. I mean, even if you can see us losing, there's still that sort of shred of optimism that says, we're likely to score. And then taking that separately, if we score, Munich are going to need to score twice as many. And yeah, I couldn't see us. It was a difficult one because I couldn't see us coming back from Munich not having scored at all. But then I couldn't really see us not scoring at Anfield against Munich as well. So it was kind of it wasn't the end of the world by any chance, but it was, a lot less. It was all very much up in the air still, and you would hope we'd kind of go into that second leg with some sort of advantage. That's the thing. I think that's what it comes down to. Is every game we played in Europe last year in the knockout stages, we went into the second leg with a massive advantage. We beat Porto 5-0 in first leg, Man City 3-0, Roma, what was it, 5-2?
5-2, yeah.
Yeah, it's a long time since we've gone into the second leg of the European knockout tie, and it's been all to play for.
Yeah, and I'd probably say we weren't favourites for that leg because of the fact we weren't at home,
Yeah.
So we were going as underdogs for a change, which is a slightly new experience in Europe under Klopp. But I would like to just make a quick point out to say that Fabinho was once again brilliant as a centre half, which isn't his natural position. And I'm just sort of, the more I see him, and he's now certainly, almost first name on the team sheet. Well, you'd like to hope. Is he becoming one of our most important players?
Yeah, I'll tell you what he's doing. He's doing exactly what Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain did last year. Which is a slow start. Even getting in the team. When he's in the team, he's getting a bit of stick for some quite uninspired performances. And then over time, sort of over that winter period, he comes out and we get to February and he's one of our most important midfielders. He is, almost the beating heart of the midfield. He's that missing vertebrae in the spine. And it's... and he has been brilliant. And
I think Pep Linders called him the lighthouse. Because he allows everyone around them he allows everyone else to see where the game is and creates the kind of the pivot between the two parts of the game.
Yeah, that's nice. I like that. And he is a very intelligent player as well, isn't he? Do you know what I mean? In the same sort of mould as Xabi Alonso, in that sense.
I mean, that is one hell of a thing to say. And whilst I think he's a very different type of player, I can see many similarities. Certainly, passing, his range, he's phenomenal in the challenge. The amount of times because he looks like, as we mentioned before, he looks like an NBA player, not a footballer. He's so tall and lanky, but he's got such long legs that he just tackle. It doesn't matter where he tackles somebody, he always seems to win it, and then he's able to play about and restart the attacks. It's fantastic.
Yeah, he's a much more physical player than I think Alonso ever was. But in that reading of the game, in that composure on the ball, I think there's definite overshades there, and such an upgrade, both in terms of attitude and ability on Emre Can. who he was sort of brought in to replace. Perhaps not as good looking, some might say.
I mean, he is a bit of a nerd, I think. He's got a bit of a geeky look.
Well, he looks like Chuka Ramona.
He does a little bit, yeah.
Who was in the news this month as well, of course, for abandoning the Labour Party, but we won't go into too much detail on that. Although he is your MP, so you could maybe
say there's a lot of my local sort of stuff going on in this month's podcast. I don't know why.
There's a lot of Streatham references tonight.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
Luckily, Streatham's such a big place. I don't mind talking about the fact I live here.
Yeah, I mean, whereas Whitney, a small town, it's a 2-horse town,
It is. But yeah, no.
And I am one of the horses.
But I just wanted to give a shout out to Fabinho playing out of position, and like you say, actually, like Oxlade-Chamberlain can play. Oxlade-Chamberlain was a winger, but could also play at wing back and ended up becoming a central midfielder. For us, Fabinho is a central midfielder who's fast becoming a centre back option as well. Yeah,
and he's often he's often a superior centre back option to some of our actual centre backs.
I'd have Fabinho over Lovren. Yeah.
Yeah, as you say, he's sort of preferable to Lovren at the moment. Not that that takes an awful lot to some people.
Certainly not.
Let's be fair. Yeah.
But yeah, a 0-0 draw. So the second leg is all to play for, but we will talk about that in our March review because we go for our second away game in the league in this month, and it's a doozy.
It is. It's Old Trafford.
Yes. What do they call it? They called it the El Clasico, the English El Clasico. I heard someone called it the other day.
Do they? I've not heard it called that before.
No, because they're the two biggest sort of historical giants of the country's league. But they couldn't think to call it the Classic, so they called it the English El Clasico.
We must be able to get a better name for it than that.
Yeah, something sort of anthemic and historic, really, is the idea.
Yeah, I mean, taking El Clasico as a kind of as a basis, but putting in some kind of northwest pun. Listeners, please do give us a tweet at Plastic Scousers if you think of any good puns for the Liverpool Man United derby.
Yeah.
Because it's also called, in a much less glamorous way, the M62 derby.
Yeah, it's a bit like the M23 derby between Palace and Brighton, isn't it?
Yeah, and again, I feel when if your rivalry can be reduced down to just being at opposite ends of an A road, you're scraping the barrel a bit. And obviously, Palace and Brighton, fine, but like Liverpool, Man United have got so many valid reasons to be rivals that coming from opposite ends of a fairly major sort of dual carriageway doesn't seem good enough.
Yeah, and I was going to say there's several options with that game because you could have Man City, Everton, or Tranmere, Salford, or
Yeah, or I mean anywhere really in the vicinity of Manchester that you'd need to take the M62 out of. So let's have a think at some point and come up with a better name for the Manchester United Liverpool derby.
Absolutely. For now, let's just talk about the game. It's we go into it. I was quite a bit nervous. They have been on an absolute roll under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I think they'd only dropped 2 points since he joined. That kind of fear factor was starting to come back. Players like Paul Pogba and Lukaku and Rashford were actually playing, half decently, which is good when you've got a half decent manager in charge. And I mean, it was one of those where I was really nervy about what might happen. Certainly what happened wasn't what I was expecting. That's for sure.
Yeah, as you say, reasons to be nervous, but and reasons to expect an eventful game, but not really to the extent that we got. It was just like this. I don't want to be tasteless, but it was like a song. You look at the. Just quickly touching on the lineup, Milner was back in at right back. Trent Alexander-Arnold was rested here. Fabinho into the midfield with Virgil Van Dijk back. It's a very industrious midfield with Wijnaldum and Henderson, as tends to be away games. He does do that. But I mean, that lineup with the front three of Firmino, Mane, Salah, that lineup, particularly the Man United lineup, changed a lot in the first half with one of the most astonishing 45 minutes of non-football I've ever seen. Yeah, I mean, there were just players going down left, right and centre. Like, everywhere you looked, someone was receiving treatment. Andre Herrera, I think, was the first one to crack on 21 minutes. And then, literally 4 minutes later, less than a third of the way through the game, Juan Mata went off as well for Jesse Lingard.
Yeah.
It was... And this was like that sounds. I mean, 2 substitutions, okay, doesn't sound an awful lot, even within 25 minutes of kickoff. But it's the fact that every time you looked, even when they weren't going off, players were kind of going down and receiving treatment, and it was on both sides. We were having a couple as well, weren't we?
Well, yeah, I mean, Robbo took a knock late in the half. Also, don't forget that Marcus Rashford took a knock after about 5 minutes and was basically hobbling round. I was amazed he wasn't taken off.
I remember listening to the radio, and it was like, and Rashford really seems to be playing with an injury here. And the fourth official was putting his board up, and just as we thought, Marcus Rashford's going to make way with it. Oh no, he's not. No, it's a different player coming off. It's Herrera. 4 minutes later, no, the fourth official's board has gone up again. So this time Rashford is going to make way. And oh no, hang on, Juan Mata's coming off. Rashford's staying on. Somehow the lad played 90 minutes.
Well, yeah, but we'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. After half an hour, Bobby Firmino picked up a problem that he couldn't shake off, which meant that he had to come off for Daniel Sturridge. He got the nod over Origi for the sort of hour of the game, and it was crazy. Just a crazy first half. Well, understandably, there wasn't a lot of football played.
No, there wasn't. There was very little for us to talk about other than the injuries. What football there was played wasn't the most inspiring of 45 minutes, but then, like you touched upon, there was no sort of chance to really build any kind of rhythm or flow going, was there?
No, and the one big chance of the game actually fell to Man United who broke through, and Jesse Lingard had the opportunity to go round Alisson, who pulled off a wonderful save to sort of take the ball away from Jesse Lingard, who then, in the process of doing that, went down with an injury and had to go off himself.
Yeah.
Because he shouldn't have been on the pitch because he wasn't fit.
So we've got to the point where Man United, within the first half, Man United are substituting their substitutes.
Alexis Sanchez comes on this time.
Yeah. And so as we say, Rashford still hasn't gone off. Yeah. But,
he can't now.
No, he can't.
He's got to stay on.
Yeah, it's that kind of thing. You get that classic scenario where your goalkeeper gets injured or sent off or whatever, and you've used all your subs, and you have to put an outfield player in goal. But the way this game was going, I thought it was going to be the other way around. I thought if they got any more injuries, David De Gea was going to have to just come out on pitch, and they'd have to do like spider goalie, like you did when you were sort of in the school playground. Just whoever's nearest to the goal line, just run in and say, "I'm in goal now. I'm in goal," and pick it up.
Yeah, if you're in the box, you're in goal. Yeah.
Yeah, you're just allowed to pick it up if you're closest to the goal.
Yeah, but the first half very much went to that form of we couldn't really get any momentum going. Although the first 20 minutes, I have to say, we were pretty good. We did look very dangerous and threatening. Man United were struggling to hold on to us before the injury, before the war started. The irony being, this wasn't even a particularly violent game.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't like a punch-up, was it?
No, or like a many aggressive tackles for a Man U, for the English El Clasico. It was pretty tame, but yet all these injuries happened. So you kind of think at this point, right? The second half, we've got the advantage. We've got two substitutions we can still make. They've got basically 10 players because for the second half they put Lukaku on the wing and played Rashford up front, despite the fact he couldn't do anything. And we surely had to take all the impetus, but we were terrible.
Yeah, we were. It's really disappointing because you thought Sturridge, given a good hour against top-class opposition and a real, point to prove, and a former Man City player as well, and a former Chelsea player. He's played for, and a former Bolton player. He's played for some of Man United's biggest rivals. You'd think he would really come out all guns blazing, but. Yeah, I mean, just terrible afternoon for him, really.
Well, and the whole team. I mean, there was no creativity. Salah looked completely out of sorts. Mane was isolated and didn't do a huge amount. The midfield were as creative as we sort of talked about before with a midfield like that. The changes weren't particularly impactful. Henderson came off and didn't look very happy about it at all.
He didn't actually. That's true.
No, he looked really upset by that. Shaqiri came on and did very little apart from getting booked. Divock Origi came on for Salah. Don't quite know what that was going to do. Didn't do a lot. I mean, Salah was awful, to be fair, but, Origi wasn't much better. Particularly when you've got Navigator on the bench, and you kind of think what we need is creativity in midfield, and we haven't got it on the pitch.
Yeah.
It's a 0-0 draw at the end. And, I mean, it's not you take that at the beginning of the game most of the time. I think going to Old Trafford and getting a point is not the worst result in the world, but the context not only of the game, where basically we were playing against 10.5 players, good players, we'll admit, like Man United have lots of good players, but
They do.
10.5 players nonetheless, to play as meekly as we did with that performance, and particularly with the context of Man City, who didn't play here because they had a cup game, I think, or something, which meant that their game in hand over us. This was our game in hand over them. Does that make sense? I think it makes sense. Because they played their game where the cup final was meant to be played early for some stupid reason, because, the FA. And, this point means we are top by a point, but that game in hand is now gone. Yeah, so a very disappointing point that brings City back into the title race. And then we come to the last game of the month. We have a bit of a break because of the fact we're not in various competitions. And we are at home for our last game of the month to Watford.
Been a tricky team for a lot of oppositions this season, Watford. Javi Gracie's got on playing really well. They finally seem to have found some sort of consistency, which has been lacking for the last few years, but then they have changed their manager every 6 months almost religiously, so I suppose that's not overly surprising. But yeah, felt this should be one we win.
Well, I mean, our record against Watford at home is unbelievable.
Yeah.
We scored at least 5 goals against them both times they've turned up. 5-0 and 6-1. 5 goal margins.
Last year as well, it was that wonderful Mo Salah performance. Where he scored 4. I mean, everything he touched seemed to end up in the back of the net. Even when he gave Danny Ings an assist, Mo Salah ended up scoring it.
Yeah, it was quite incredible.
In fact, that was... Yeah. That was a brilliant day. But yeah, so hopefully more of the same at this game. And it was... well, I wouldn't say a full-strength lineup, because it's still hard to know what our first-choice midfield is these days, but...
Yeah, well, the big note being Firmino was injured and couldn't play in this game, so he missed his first fixture in about a year and a half for us, or something crazy.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the first game he's missed all season, certainly. Origi scores, as we used to say, but we'll come to that in a minute. And I know we used to say it about someone else other than Origi. Trent Alexander... Him, yeah. So first choice, back 5. Midfield, James Milner comes in as captain, because Henderson is back on the bench, alongside Wijnaldum and Fabinho. Weird one. Weird sort of mix of players.
But this is this is much more like it again after Bournemouth. This is I argue probably one of the best performances of the entire season. It was absolutely fantastic against, as you say, a team who 5th, 7th, 8th in the league. They are not to be sniffed at, but we made them look decidedly relegation form. It was incredible.
We did.
So what was interesting about this? So Origi replaced Firmino, so you'd immediately suspect Origi would go up front with Mane and Salah either side. But that's not what actually happened. And I think this kind of, Watford were really caught out by this. Origi ended up going on the left, Salah on the right, and Mane, I think for the first time in his Liverpool career, certainly from the start, played as the number 9 up front. And it completely threw Watford. And Mane just looked like he'd been unleashed.
He did. He was. I mean, and he's had a fantastic sort of second half of the season anyway. So to say unleashed is almost like, it's not like he's been particularly leashed up until now. But he was imperious.
Yeah, I mean, it was a sensational first sort of 20 minutes for him, where with just less than 10 minutes gone, the ball already we're on the attack. We've had a number of opportunities, and this time the one that does eventually go in, the ball comes back out from another cross, And Trent Alexander-Arnold with an absolute peach. And Mane's between the two defenders. It's another header for him, brilliantly taken. And for the third time this month, he scored the opening goal for us.
Yeah, it's he's basically like, because I think a lot of last season he really did end up playing third fiddle behind Firmino and Mo Salah, and I think a lot of people forgot what an exceptional player Mane was. You know, you look at how good he was for us in his first season at the club. You know, there's a reason we signed him and put out so much money on him. And again, it's hard in such a, you know, when you're playing with people like Mo Salah, but he is a phenomenal footballer, and people do not give Mane enough credit. And what we've seen sort of over the course of the second half of the season is a player at his peak years, at his peak form, and he's taking no prisoners at the moment. It's fantastic. It's like and it's come at a time when Mo Salah's form has dipped a bit, and so it really does make you think how lucky we are to have such a strong attack. For possibly one of the best strikers in the world is having a real, dry spell. We've still got a super reliable, incredibly skillful striker banging him in every game.
It is fantastic, and if that goal wasn't good enough for you, the one that makes it 2-0 and settles the nerves down completely is absolutely astonishing.
Yeah, it's another assist from Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Yeah, it's another cross as well. He's whipped the ball in at pace. Again, the ball's come out to him from another delivery, another part of play. He's whipped the ball in. The entire defence steps up. Sadio Mane, his first touch is absolutely atrocious because it loses it behind him. But rather than sort of turn and score or sort of panic about it or flap at it and miss the chance, he nonchalantly backheels it over the goalkeeper. It's audacious. It's ridiculous. It's wonderful.
It is. It's all of those things. I can't add anything to that. You've defined
no right to do that.
Nah, beautiful goal, beautiful player, and beautiful assist. 2 for 2 now from Alexander-Arnold in 20 minutes. And we're really kind of, we're enjoying this. We are enjoying this from the get-go.
Yeah, and it's it just reminds you this is what we can do when we're at it, And by the rest of the first half, we're absolutely on top of it. Mane probably should have had a hat trick already by this point. The attacking play is fantastic. Salah just causing them all kind of problems down the right hand side. Probably should have one or two himself. He's being a bit selfish, trying to get a goal. It's slightly troubling, but when you're doing well, it's all right. He even hit the post, I think, with a sort of bizarre moment where sort of not quite sure if he's going to score, and he sort of taps it against the post. It's phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal.
And again, the only criticism you could say at half-time, like the Bournemouth game, is that we should probably have, gone in with twice as many goals on the board as we have done. But what can you do?
Well, go and score again.
Other than score more goals, yeah.
And absolutely. And the second half was much of the same. Watford are a bit more organised, make it a little bit more difficult for us to break them down, which you'd kind of expect because they were pretty poor in the first half by their own admission. Then we see a player who's having one heck of a resurgence for us do something that we were very used to seeing several years ago.
This is a goal that would have fit straight into a couple of years ago. Divock Origi surging up the left. This is actually better than some of the goals he was scoring a few years ago when he was playing as sort of centre forward. Kind of doing an Andy Robertson and just like flying up the left and then kind of cutting in sort of and get to the box. And actually, Andy Robertson is kind of in the place where you would expect the striker to be, as Robertson cuts in on the left and he's just kind of stood in the area waiting. He really doesn't need it, takes it all by himself, tucks it home in the near post. Game over, but great goal. Like, best goal of the season that Origi scored. Not the most important, and not even the funniest or the most enjoyable, but on technique level, certainly the best so far.
Yeah, fantastic and very evocative of, shows what he can really do. Andy Robertson getting on the assist this time with that one, the ball through. And, the game is basically over by this point. We see Henderson, we see Lallana introduced. And then the big man pops up. And there's another wonderful delivery and a hat-trick of assists for Trent Alexander-Arnold. And Virgil van Dijk gets a goal at Anfield in the Premier League for the first time.
Yeah, his only ever goal at Anfield came in the FA Cup against Everton on his debut. So that's nice to be scoring in the league at Anfield. You mentioned Alexander-Arnold there. He became the youngest player ever to get 3 assists in a single game, Premier League game. 20 years old and 143 days. Do you know whose record he broke?
Steven Gerrard?
Nope. Although if I tell you it's a former Liverpool player.
Is it one that I will know?
Well, you definitely know the player, but he probably isn't. If I said former Liverpool player, you wouldn't immediately think this guy. It's not like we were his most famous club.
Okay, I don't know.
He's not exactly going to be going down as a legend anytime soon. Jermaine Pennant.
Really?
Yeah, it was while he was at Leeds. It was in 2003. And he had about 80 days older than Trent Alexander-Arnold at the time.
Wow, what a record to have then.
Yeah, good for him.
So, it's 4-0. And I mean, it's now a rout. And we said at the beginning of this, we've always scored 5 and always won by a 5-goal margin against Watford, and we keep to that record because Virgil van Dijk gets another.
Yeah. I mean, suddenly he's on a hat-trick. Actually, Sadio Mane, as you said, has gone off by this point, and you think, oh, well, no one's going to get a hat-trick this game then. And suddenly Van Dijk is like, he might be the one who's taken over match ball.
Incredible.
It's another great cross from Andy Robertson, fires it in. Van Dijk goes up, header, boom, bang, 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 bang. I love you, as Lulu sang at the Eurovision Song Contest sometime in the early 70s.
Topical reference there.
Topical reference, finger on the pulse, as always. Might have even been late 60s. Amazing.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. His first brace for us. And the game ends 5-0 and an absolutely sensational way to end the month of February.
Yeah, it's 5 games. Not always the most satisfying game, certainly not always the most satisfying results. But it kind of ended with a performance that we've been waiting for all month, really. I think we've sat through quite tedious draws with West Ham and Man U and Bayern Munich. And obviously a good win against Bournemouth. But Watford really felt like someone kind of, pulling the cork out, and it all just that frustration over the cork, that February frustration finally being released. Yeah,
absolutely fantastic. If you look at it out in context, I know that it's frustrating to kind of go, well, we haven't, we sort of lost a lot of ground on the Premier League to a Man City side who basically won every bloody game and that they played, so we lost the ground. We are still top of the league though, and that is, we win every game this season, we win the league. We only conceded once all month, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah, and that was against West Ham.
So there we go, right at the beginning of the month. So I think overall, it's a very positive way to go into the start to head towards the back end of the season. We can start to maybe think this there is something exciting happening, but there's a lot of games still to be played.
There are, including in the Champions League, where we've nothing is guaranteed, but. Almost time to start dreaming.
Yeah, let's not get too excited yet. But that's our review of the month of February, certainly in terms of games. So before we do our usual batch of silly, fun features and games, we'll take a quick break. Andy Robertson is on a beach, sipping an enormous pint of iron brew. Looking up, Andy Robertson sees a scantily clad young woman, thrashing about in the surf. Leaping to his feet, Andy Robertson races down to the tide, pulling on a wetsuit as he does. Andy Robertson leaps into the water and lands on a fat German man swimming, whom Andy Robertson proceeds to ride like a sea kayak towards the woman. As Andy Robertson reaches the woman, however, she turns into an enormous sperm whale, dislocates her jaw and swallows Andy Robertson and the fat German man whole. Cut to the inside of the whale's mouth. Andy Robertson is now on a jet ski and riding down the whale's tongue, as a succession of scantily clad young women throw whale entrails at Andy Robertson. As it looks like the entrails will be too much, the whale suddenly burps and fires Andy Robertson through its blowhole. Andy Robertson flies high into the air and looks down to the beach. Andy Robertson notices yet another scantily clad young woman relaxing, also drinking an enormous pint of iron brew. Andy Robertson is suddenly wearing a sailor's hat, which Andy Robertson tips towards the young woman as Andy Robertson falls from the sky. Andy Robertson lands in a rubber ring, bobbing in the waves, and relaxes. A sea turtle swims out to Andy Robertson with a pint of iron brew on its back. Andy Robertson takes it and winks to the camera. Robbo for man.
Hi, I'm James Milner, CEO and best boy of James Milner Industries. Our work in the West Yorkshire area has brought much prosperity to a region blighted by the terrible socio-economic situation, and also Leeds United. Now I've come up with an idea to bring great joy to the people with another industry first. Are you like me and love a bit of violence? Not real actual violence, but pretend violence you can do with your friends and work colleagues. Well, I do, but I've never been able to find a safe and sensible way of doing it. Well, apart from Laser Quest, but the lights and music and dark are a bit scary, or playing Call of Duty on the Xbox, but I can't coordinate with a controller thing. But then, I had a brainwave after trying one of those fancy virtual reality headset things in a booth in the French Gate Shopping Centre in Doncaster. Introducing James Milner's paintball experience with me, James Milner. James Milner's paintball experience with me, James Milner, provides all the fun of a game of paintball, with none of the pain associated and realised with paintball. Come on down the James Milner Paintball Experience warehouse complex just off the A659 next to the Knotford Nuck Topsoil and Compost Supply, and take part in the most exciting game of paintball you've ever played that doesn't get paint on you or hurt. Instead of guns, paintball and expensive and... Try again. Instead of guns, paintball and expensive and impractical gloves, there's chairs, pens and paper, and your imagination. With all the frantic nail-biting excitement of real paintball, each player takes it in turns to declare their move around the battlefield, pick a target, and take aim. Then, through a simple series of 32 dice rolls, it is decided whether the move is made or the shot's hit or not. We keep going around to each player in the game until after just a few days, we have a winner. It really is incredibly exciting. Currently we have capacity for up to 8 people to play. Because we have 9 chairs now, you usually need to sit down at some point because I get too excited. Plus my back's been hurting recently. We're also only booking between 3 to 5 PM on a Wednesday afternoon, as that's the only time I've got available from training or other business activities. We did have an intern who could also run other sessions, but he left for some reason. James Milner's paintball experience with me, James Milner. Soon, with virtual reality, hopefully like at the shopping centre.
Hello, Liverpool fans! My name is Mauricio Pellegrino, remember me? Of course you don't. I only played 12 games and I was shit. But now, if you want to remember me better, why not come and stay at the forgotten former Liverpool Players Hotel? Hey! In a leafy location just outside of Warrington. You can come and stay at the forgotten former Liverpool Players Hotel and reacquaint yourself with all the players that you never really gave a shit about. Wake up every morning in a luxurious 4-poster bed to the sights and sounds of Antonio Nunes polishing your shoes. Antonio Nunes, more like Antonio Shooters. Hey! Set yourself up for the day with a glorious breakfast buffet. Serves until 10 a.m. with every item hand-cooked by Milan Barosh and Gabriel Paletta. Except for the pancakes and Mark Gonzalez specialty. You like pancakes? Mark Gonzalez gives you pancakes. There's a wide range of activities on offer in our relaxing spa. From our spinal massage from Momo Sissoko to water aerobics with Anthony Foreignin. Anthony Foreignin, look how he floats! Plus, you can sample a range of outstanding cocktails, all prepared by our resident mixologist Diego Cavalieri. Do you fancy a Cavalieri on the beach? How about Cavalieri on the works? Or what about sex on the Cavalieri? There's so many to choose from, and they all include Cavalieri! Finally, as the sun sets over our beautiful 25-acre garden, why not step out onto our special gravel terrace and take in the view, complete with Jan Klomkamp dancing for you in just a water fountain. That's it, Jan. That's it. Oh, Jan. Jan, you know how to dance in a water fountain. The forgotten former Liverpool Players Hotel. Refresh your memory. Refresh your soul. Antonio Nunes? More like Antonio Judas. Get it? It's funny. Hey!
If you need to move some stuff, Van Dijk vans. Or whatever you need moving, Van Dijk can. If you're moving house or office and you don't want your stuff lost, if there's one place that you should go, it's Van Dijk vans. Get on down to Van Dijk Vans, where you can find a massive range of vans and transport vehicles for all your moving needs. From transits and transporters to lorries and road trains, we've got everything for you to get your stuff from one place to another. No matter where you're going, your Van Dijk will be there, in the perfect place to keep you going. Our amazing Van Dijk vans are built like the Rolls Royces of vans, whatever that means, using only the finest materials, adding class and elegance to your vehicle of choice. Everything is easy in a Van Dijk van: house moves, transporting kit for live events, stopping Premier League strikers in their tracks, single-handedly carrying teams of people towards massive trophies. They'll do anything and everything you need. Come on down to one of our branches in Greningen, Glasgow, Southampton, Liverpool, and pretty much every English town Van Dijk vans have visited, as they pretty much own everything everywhere they go, except a very small part of West London where they can occasionally go wrong, but don't worry, it's still basically fine. Visit us in store or go to vandijkvans.uk.biz and get your order in. Prices start at 75 million. So when you need to win the PL and Lovrenner's lost appeal, then you better get on down to Van Dijk Vans. Van Dijk! Welcome back to the Plastic Scousers February Review podcast. Brief commercial break there, but now straight back into the action. And February, of course, is a time for film buffs everywhere to rejoice, because it's the BAFTAs, it's the Oscars, it's possibly the Golden Globes, the Screen Actors Guild, all sorts of other gongs for films. And so we thought we would reflect that with a little preview of all the films that will be coming out over coming months that Liverpool fans might be interested in a feature we call Coming Soon to a Cinema Pongol Near You. So the way this works, basically, for those of you long-term listeners who remember our Clock Rocks the Cop feature, where we went through some of the best music records out there for Liverpool fans, this is basically the same, but with films. So Matt, would you like to start us off?
I would absolutely, yeah. I'm looking forward to discussing some of the films that we'll be featuring soon. Very much Liverpool-based films. Firstly, a film that very much reflects the play out of which it's based. It's The Good, the Bad, and the Balotelli.
Very nice, very nice. It really captures his diverse personality there.
Yeah.
Well, there's also a film coming out which is a sort of martial arts epic, but set in Burnley, Stoke, Southampton, Portsmouth, Tottenham, QPR, and Liverpool. It is, of course, Peter Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Oh, I love it. Slightly another former striker, another former English striker, and his slightly worrying penchant for eating people. It's The Silence of the Lamberts.
Very good, very good. After that, coming out the same week, we've got a gritty, high-octane action thriller in which a former Czechoslovakian midfielder decides to take revenge on all of the people who have spurned him throughout his career. It's Smica Vendetta.
That's great. Yeah, he's currently on loan in Scotland, and he's got to get the military to come and save him in Saving Private Ryan Kent.
Oh, is that Tom Hanks stars in that one?
He does.
It is. Well, if you like Tom Hanks, you'll also love the film in which a promising academy centre-back gets kidnapped by Somalian pirates. It's Captain Nat Phillips.
I love it. One of the many films starring this iconic character, studying this, but a slightly unusual twist on the formula in Indiana Jones in Raiders of the Lost John Walk.
Well, staying with a walking theme, you might have wondered, like I did, Matt, what happened to our former right back when he was out injured with a back injury for all those months? We thought there might be some kind of addiction issues, but actually he was understudying for Joaquin Phoenix in a Johnny Cash biopic that we like to call Walk for Klein.
That's fantastic. I look forward to seeing that one. Who knew that some of our legendary goalkeepers were involved in a serious conflict that could have destroyed the planet and everything we know? In the biopic Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Tom, Lawrence.
But for more of those religious fans among you, those who love a religious epic, you'll love this 6-hour-long retelling of perhaps the greatest story ever told. The creation story is, one woman determined to eat an apple, defied the orders of her husband, former Blackpool and Liverpool midfielder Charlie Adam and Eve.
Great, I love that one. And there was another film featuring ancient goalkeepers and legendary goalkeepers who were once mistaken for a random fan by the BBC. This time taking a trip into the Middle East in the, of course, legendary Tommy Lawrence of Arabia.
Hey. Next up, coming out this month, Will Smith and his young child star in a heartwarming tale about an unemployed man who really just wants to get to know a Spanish midfielder. It's The Pursuit of Jabbiness.
That's a great one. One of the greatest films ever made. Who knew it was made in Doncaster via Liverpool? It's Citizen Herbie Kane.
On to animated films now, and a charming, fun-for-all-the-family tale about a Dutch goalkeeper who just wants to learn martial arts and eat a lot of bamboo. It's Kung Fu Sanda.
One of the all-time great classic movies, one of the crooner great eras, has been re-released for the Spanish market in Singing in the Pepe Reina.
Another great classic is always on BBC Two on a Wednesday afternoon about the Australian midfielder's desperate attempts to qualify for the Winter Olympics. It's Cool Runnings.
I like that. Another military war film now. We go quite a ways back to a surprising inclusion from around the sort of 1930s and 40s in the film Full Metal Jackie Sheldon.
Full Metal who?
Jackie Sheldon, of course.
Jackie Sheldon.
The famous player from the 30s and 40s, Jackie Sheldon.
Yeah, well, if we go that far back, I might as well preview a very racy sort of film. It's a classic of French erotica, but starring a man who only ever made one appearance for Liverpool back in 1893. It is, of course, Last Tango in Powys Fewhurst.
Oh, that's fantastic. Another classic film now here, with another legendary player involved. Good luck to you, sir, in Good Will Roger Hunting.
Matt, do you like Stephen Hawking?
I love Stephen Hawking.
Well, then you'll love the biopic they've recently made of him, starring Felicity Jones and Gerard Houlier's first signing. It's the Jean-Michel Ferry of everything.
That's fantastic. I look forward to seeing that one as well. Guy Ritchie's decided to take one of his all-time classics up to the northeast in Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Carols.
There's also a great sci-fi film recently come out starring a former Liverpool winger now at Bournemouth, in which he is deeply uncomfortable with the way that a lot of society is now made up of serving androids. It's Ibe Robot.
Right. Well, of course, the famous comedy troupe Monty Python decided to take one of their famous films out of Jerusalem and into Liverpool in the life of Brian Mooney.
I don't even know who that is. A great film based on Danny Wallace's book about a man who can't say no to anything, and starring our former German youth international. It's Yesel Man.
Right. Okay. We go to Australia now for a film featuring a very tiny little terrifying Scouser. It's Mad Leighton Maxwell.
God almighty. And now to the streets of Paris, where again Tom Hanks returns to talk us through some of the more intricate secrets of the Vatican in a film based on Dan Brown's novel and starring former Liverpool defender, now at Wolves captain, the Da Vinci Cody.
Nice, I like that. I'm looking forward to seeing that one. Of course, players like to generally escape from Liverpool Football Club, and here's a very famous one from last season. He's not here anymore. He's run away to Italy, but can you catch me if you can?
1920s American romantic comedy, all set around a big heist at a casino. It is, and starring a random German midfielder. It's the man who broke the bank at Monte Carline's Riedel.
Right. My last film is probably one of my all-time favourites. The slightly unusual relationship and indeed usual hairstyle in the all-time classic When Harry Wilson Met Sally Jadot.
That's amazing. That's amazing. That's a match made in heaven. I've got one more really good one. I mean, I'll just take you through some of the more non-in-depth previews coming up. But we'll finish on what's almost certain to be an Oscar winner when award season rolls around again. It's a dark, gritty portrayal of life in the deep south of America in the 1800s. The horrors of what some people do to another when there's intrinsic power structures, particularly based on race. And starring former Liverpool and Ireland midfielder, it's 12 Macketeers, a Slave.
Oh, wow, that's a pertinent film.
Yeah, very pertinent. And then, of course, Matt, if I can just run you through a few more that are coming up, because this is a box set, actually, these are out on DVD. It is, of course, the James Bond in Liverpool series, starring such brilliant all-time classics as The World Is Not a Clough, From Ian Rusher with Love, A Man with the Golden Gun, David and Moonraker, Never Say Evans Again, Diamonds Are for Hoover, Then Alexander Arnold Finger, A View to a Camille, Grabara, License to Phil, Bar, and the more recent adventures, Firmino Royale and Quantum of Wallace.
Wallace!
Gordon Wallace, first ever Liverpool player to score in the European Cup.
There we go, classic. That's a box set I'll buy for sure.
And there's just a couple more I will give you because I don't actually know what the films are about, so I can't really do it properly. But there's an officer and a 20-man, Paulo Alves and Forever,
What?
High Nunez, and Torben Peachnick at Hanging Rock.
I don't even know what some of these are.
No, me neither.
Yeah. There we go. But there's some classic movies for you to watch. I'll look forward to that James Bond box set. Certainly, I think there's a lot of work gone into that, isn't there, Owen?
Absolutely. Firmino Royale is, I think, my favourite there.
I love Firmino Royale. Yes. So there we go. There's a bunch of films. We may be proving you some more films at a later date.
Yes, yeah, here's hoping. Because there's always more films, Matt. That's the important thing to remember.
There's always more films, and
there's always more films.
There's always more puns. So we move on now, rapidly approaching the end of the podcast. But as we mentioned at the beginning, we have one more thing to do, and it is a high-stakes quiz between myself and Owen. Usually when we quiz, we do these little games and things. It's one of us asking the other, but this time we're going to be facing off against each other, against the clock. Welcome, everyone, to 60-Second Showdown. It's all very exciting here at Plastic Scousers Towers. This is how the game will work. Each of us will face a category. We have 3 categories each, in which are basically a list category. So the example I have here is name any player from the squad in the 2005 Champions League final. And so it would then be up to Owen in 60 seconds to name as many as he could in that time. We will go 3 rounds, as mentioned, and whoever has the highest score at the end of those 3 rounds of correct answers will win. You are allowed to get wrong answers, but of course that won't count towards your final score. It's only any correct answer that counts. Owen, is that clear?
That is very clear.
Okay, your first category, Owen. Name any player to have worn a squad number in the 30s for LFC. That is any player who has at any point during their Liverpool career worn a squad number between the numbers of 30 and 39. You have 60 seconds, your time starts now.
Okay. Yari Lippmanen, Martin Skirtle, Carl Medjani, Robbie Foy, Alberto Aquilani, 33. Jordan Ibe, John Joe Shelby. I'm going to say Raheem Sterling. 39. Peggy Arfexad. 38, 37, 36. Leighton Maxwell. Sebastian Leto, possibly. John Welsh. Not Ryan Kent. Who's there at the moment? Who's the 30, 31? I said Littman, didn't I?
Time up.
That goes really quickly.
It is 60 seconds, that's all you get. So, let's run through your answers. You said Yari Littman, that is correct, 37. Martin Skirtle, that was correct, 37. Carl Medjani, correct, 35. Robbie Foy, incorrect, it's 42. Alberto Aquilani, only ever number 4. Don't know why he said that one, that was strange.
Don't know where that came from.
Jordan Ibe, correct, 33, as well as 44. John Joe Shelby, correct, 33 as well. Sebastian Leto, you said, was also 33. Sterling, correct, 31. Pegai FXAD. Pegai FXAD was number 19, that's incorrect.
Oh, man.
Leighton Maxwell was 33 as well. You had a lot of 33s there, impressively.
Wow, yeah.
That is correct. And finally, John Welsh, 32. That was correct. So in total, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 correct answers there.
9, I'll take that. 9 in 60 seconds, that's pretty good.
That is not bad. You will kick yourself with a lot of the numbers, but we won't go through that now. I'll leave you to do that at home in your own time. Right, my turn.
Okay, Matt, you have got 60 seconds to name as many of Liverpool's top 15 record transfer fees that they have received for a player they have sold. Are you clear?
Yes.
So, of the top 15, you have got 60 seconds to get as many of those as you can. Go.
Okay, so Fernando Torres, Luis Suarez, Philippe Coutinho. Oh, this is going to be tough, this, because only 15. Who else have we sold for lots of money? I wouldn't say Eddie Carroll, we bought him for loads of money. Received, that's really hard. Xabi Alonso, Mascherano, Raheem Sterling would be on there. I said Torres already, haven't I?
You have.
I don't know, Raul Morales, probably not right. Pepe Reina, that wouldn't be right either. Sissoko, he wouldn't be on there. I'm trying to think of other players we've let go who are really really and done really well. Oh God, I don't know. I've probably missed someone really obvious.
That's time up.
Oh man, that's quick. That was a hard category.
That was a hard category, but you actually did pretty well. Let's go through the ones you got wrong. First of all, you said Raul Morales, who's not up there.
No.
Pepe Reina, also not up there. Mohamed Sissoko, not up there.
No.
Other than that, you had a pretty flawless record. You got the top 3 straight away in Philippe Coutinho, Luis Suarez and Fernando Torres. You also said Xabi Alonso, which is correct, Javier Mascherano, and of course Raheem Sterling, who's the fourth highest fee we've ever received. You also said, and I'm going to count it, Andy Carroll.
Really?
Yeah, who, as well as being our record signing for a long time, was also in our top 10, top 12 most expensive fees received. So Torres, Suarez, Coutinho, Carroll, Alonso, Mash and Sterling, that gives you 7 points.
Wow.
Would you like to know some of the ones you didn't get?
Just a few.
Okay, they might surprise you. Or some of the obvious ones you've got to say. Christian Benteke.
Oh, yeah.
And going the same way, Mamadou Sakho.
Yeah.
Robbie Keane, we got quite a good return for when we got rid of him. And then really the others just show just how inflated transfer fees have become in football over the last few years. We think these are some of our biggest transfer fees ever received for people like Danny Ings, Dominic Solanke, Jordan Ibe, Joe Allen and Danny Ward.
Blimey.
Danny Ward is our 15th highest transfer fee ever received.
And the most for a goalkeeper.
Yeah. And he played 3 games for us. So, pretty good business there.
Pretty good business. All right, well, I'm quite pleased with that, but we'll move swiftly on. Owen, your second category. Are you prepared and ready to go?
Yes, I am.
Your category. Name any player to have scored an own goal in the Premier League for or against, as in our player to have scored in our own net for Liverpool. Is that clear?
It is clear.
Okay, you have 60 seconds. My clock's gone. Your time starts now.
Okay, Jamie Carragher, Steven Gerrard, obviously. Martin Skirtle. Got a few. I think Glenn Johnson maybe did. I'm pretty sure Pepe Reina was down as having scored one. In the Premier League.
In the Premier League.
I'm just going to say defender Sammy Hippier must have done. Glenn Johnson, I think, probably did. John Honorista scored an own goal in the Champions League. I don't know if he did it in the league. I'm going to say Risa. Again, did Jimmy Traore ever repeat his FA Cup heroics in the league? I'll say Traore. Stefan Onsho. In the league. Oh God, this is hard. Sander Westerveld, maybe. Daniel Agger. Mamadou Sakho. Dejan Lovren.
Stop. You just got Lovren in on time.
That goes so quickly.
It does. Well, that's the tension of the game, I'm afraid. Right, so let's go through your answers. You said Jamie Carragher. Of course, that is correct. You said Steven Gerrard. Yes, indeed. Twice he scored those. So those are both correct. Martin Skirtle, you would be correct.
He scored loads.
He did, including in the Premier League. Glenn Johnson, you said twice, in fact. And you would be correct with that. He scored 2 own goals. Pepe Reina, did he score an own goal? Correct, he did. A 1-1 draw against Arsenal. Sammy Hippier, yes, correct, he did. Also against Arsenal, strangely enough. John Honorisa, yes, he did. He scored an own goal against Southampton in the Premier League. Correct. You are doing very well here. Jimmy Traore did not. Only ever own goal was that famous Burnley one. And it's incorrect. Stefan Onsho did score 2 own goals, neither of them in the Premier League. The League Cup against Aston Villa and a 4th round FA Cup replay against Crystal Palace. Literally the 2 own goals next to each other. So no, that is not correct. Sander Westerveld did score an own goal in the Premier League in a 3-0 defeat against Chelsea.
Wow.
That is correct. Daniel Agger did score an own goal once against a 3-1 win against Newcastle. Dejan Lovren, has he scored an own goal against us? No. Dejan Lovren has never scored an own goal for Liverpool at all, in fact.
Wow.
And Mamadou Sakho, neither did he. So I'm afraid those last 2 were wrong. That was a great round. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Crikey, I've got some catching up to do. You're on 19 overall.
Well, you've got a chance to do some catching up now, Matt, because it's perhaps an easier category than the last one I gave you. It is concerning international football. I'm asking you to name as many Liverpool internationals from certain countries as you can. I'll just clarify what I mean by this. They must have played not a full game, but they must have earned a full cap for their full senior national side. Not necessarily while they were at Liverpool, but they must have played made at least one senior appearance for both Liverpool and their national team at one point in their career. Do you follow?
Yeah, blimey, okay.
And so I am asking you to name as many Liverpool internationals from either Holland, Germany or France as you can in 60 seconds. Okay. The clock starts now. Okay,
Virgil Van Dijk, Gini Wijnaldum, Dietmar Hamann, Emre Can, Mohamed Sissoko, I think, played for France. Actually, I don't think he did. He's Malian. Djibril Cissé, David Ngo. I don't know if he's ever done that. Bernard Diomede. He definitely did. Holland, who else? Dirk Kuyt, of course. Who else? Let's play for Dutch. Sander Westerveld, was he Dutch? I think he was. Just trying to think of who else. Loris Karius, he ever played for Germany? I don't think he has. Gosh. I've probably missed loads of good ones. France. Who's French? Did I say Gibral Cisse? I think I must have done. I hate this time pressure. It's awful. I've probably missed loads. Cinema Pongolais, Le Talac.
Oh! Tell you what, you got the first half of Cinema Pongolais in just as the buzzer went off, so I'm going to give you that one.
Okay.
Because Cinema Pongolais did play once for the French national side.
Wow.
So that's 1 point you got. There you go, that's a point being chalked up there. So, again, let's start with... it was a better round than you thought. Let's start with the ones you got right. You said, of course, Virgil van Dijk, Netherlands captain at the moment. Jorginho Wijnaldum, of course, still in the Netherlands side. Dietmar Hamann from Germany. Emre Can, who actually had to wait a long time after he signed for us to make his Germany debut, but is now a mainstay in their team. Virgil Cisse, you said twice. He did play for a French national side. Dirk Kuyt and Sander Westerveld as well. Very good memory on Sander Westerveld. Both played for the Netherlands. Bernard Diomede, I'm particularly impressed that you got. Won the World Cup with France in 1998. So the ones you said that were wrong, you're right to say that Loris Karius hasn't yet played for the Germany national side. Doesn't look like he's going to at any point. Momo Sissoko, I think, was eligible for the French side, but like you said, chose to play for Mali. And David Ngo never got a call up to the French national team. I'll quickly run through some of the ones he could have had, but didn't. For Germany, Marcus Babbel, Christian Ziege or Karl-Heinz Riedel. Marcus Babbel is only one letter away from Ryan Babbel, who has also played international football for the Netherlands, as has Eric Meija, or Meija, never sure how you say that, and Bolo Zenden, if you remember him, from the sort of mid-noughties. And there are a couple of French players you missed, but not many. Jean-Michel Ferry, Gerard Houlier's first ever signing, played a couple of games for French side. Nicolas Anelka played a lot of games for French side. Mamadou Sakho has played quite a lot for French side. And of course, Zinedine Zidane has played an awful lot for France. Never played for Liverpool, but the new Zidane, Bruno Cheroux, did, and he also made a couple of appearances for the French team.
Wow.
Yeah, but still a good round, Matt. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9 points. Get better.
It's all right. Okay, your last round. Are you ready?
Yes.
Your last one. You have 60 seconds to name a stadium Liverpool have played in the Premier League era. A stadium, any stadium that we have played in when in the history of the Premier League. 60 seconds starts now.
Anfield, Old Trafford, Main Road, the Etihad, the Emirates, Highbury, White Hart Lane, Wembley. You've given me a lot of answers with this one. Who haven't I said? St Mary's, the Dell, Hillsborough, Bramall Lane, St James's Park, the Stadium of Light, the Cardiff City Stadium, which I think is just called Cardiff City Stadium, Craven Cottage, Loftus Road, Selhurst Park, near Streatham, the London Stadium or the Olympic Stadium, whichever you prefer, the Olympic Stadium, the Liberty Stadium, is that what it's called? The where did Portsmouth play? Fratton Park. I said St Mary's, didn't I? Goodison Park, obviously. The KC Stadium.
Stop. I'm afraid you missed the KC. However, you said about 300, and I literally haven't had time to write them all down. I have been back and checked through the tapes, Owen, because I couldn't keep up with writing those. Interestingly, I will just to make myself feel slightly better about this. You said the London Stadium, but you managed to forget Upton Park, which is interesting. However, you got 22 points.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Taking your final total to I'll do maths now. I don't want to do maths. Am I doing maths? 41 points.
Oh.
And I'm on 12 or something?
No, you're on 16.
Great, so I only need 30 points to win. Great.
Well,
okay.
you could do it, Matt, because you've got, as I say, quite an open-ended one to finish on.
Okay.
We're going all the way back to 1892 here, 127 years of history to pick from. Matt, I would like you in 60 seconds to name as many Liverpool players as you can that have been sent off in a competitive fixture.
Crikey.
Go.
Steven Gerrard, James Milner, Lazar Markovic, Sammy Hippier, Jamie Carragher, I'm just going to guess centre back, Stefan Unshow, Didi Kaman, Javier Mascherano, Robbie Fowler, don't know if he ever was. Who else has been sent off? God, it's not easy. Steve Fidden, John Onorisa, Joe Gomez has, I think. Who else has been sent off? God, that's difficult to remember. Pepe Reina, I think he was at some point. Oh God, I mean, Kenny Dalglish, was he ever sent off?
That's your time.
That was, I don't know, that was tricky. Okay.
Well, let's go through the ones that you're definitely right on, because this is a longer list, obviously, so I need slightly longer to check. But Steven Gerrard is he actually holds a record for most red cards in a red shirt, does Steven Gerrard. Jamie Carragher's not far behind, you said him as well, as another point there. Javier Mascherano got quite a few as well, including that very memorable one against Man United when he basically got sent off for refusing to accept being booked, which was just ridiculous. Dietmar Hamann, I think you said, he got booked. He got sent off quite a few times as well. Pepe Reina, you said as well, got sent off against Newcastle towards the end of the 2011-2012 season after he got tripped up by James Perch. Whatever happened to him? Robbie Fowler has been sent off a few times, especially in the 90s. He was quite badly behaved back then. James Milner also got his marching orders a couple of times. You said him. Lazar Markovic got sent off for effusive use of an elbow I was going to say when, but the only season he ever played for us. Big Joe Gomez, you also got. It was John Onorisi, you said, but that was not a correct answer. John Onorisi never got sent off for us. Neither did Steve Finnan, I'm afraid to say. Staying with the centre backs. Stefan Unshow never got sent off for us either. I can see your logic. And nor did, somewhat unbelievably, Sammy Hippier.
Oh.
Sammy Hippier never got recorded. And finally, you said Kenny Dalglish, which is an interesting choice. But it's correct choice. Kenny Dalglish did get sent off for us a couple of times. So I will quickly, while I top up your scores, I'll quickly give you a couple of ones you could have said but didn't. There's a lot here from recent years. Sander Westerveld got sent off against Everton. Louis Garcia got sent off once. Antonio Nunes, Philip Coutinho, Emre Can, Martin Skirtle, Brad Smith got sent off against Swansea.
Jordan Henderson did this season.
Jordan Henderson has been sent off for us. Sadio Mane, famously against Manchester City last season. Pepe Reina, you said, but the match after he got sent off, Donny also got sent off. John Joe Shelby, Joe Cole on his debut, all sorts of mediocre players. Jay Spearing, Kyrgiakos, Dagan, Barbel, Borini, Nunes, Stephen Wright, Xabi Alonso, Jermaine Pennant, Sissoko, Bruce Grobbelaar, Paul Ince, David James, Emil Heskey, Michael Owen, both Salif Diao and El Hadji Diouf.
Of course.
So actually, every Senegalese player to have ever played for us has been sent off.
Great fact.
Well, there's loads. There's
basically most players that I didn't say.
Most players. Ian Rush, Neil Ruddock. You probably could have had a stab at. But one thing I have got to tell you is I spelt Sammy Hippie's name wrong, so he didn't come up when I looked for him. But he has been sent off for us. So you've rescued yourself a point there.
Hooray.
Yes, that leaves you with a valuable point. They all count at this stage. It leaves you with a total of 10 points. Your best round so far brings you up to a total of 26.
So far, as in the last round of the game. But thank you very much. I will take that. And so the final scores are 26 points to Matt and 41 points to Owen. Owen, you are this month's champion. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I've got to say, Matt, that is an excellent game. I really like playing that. That's
good. Thank you.
Yeah, I feel like Richard Osman as well, which is not really something I want, but it's quite nice to say, let's take a look at some of the other answers up on the board. It's, yeah.
Good, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Right, and as a result, with that, we are going to end this month's podcast. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for sticking with us, despite how lazy these seems to be getting now. We are trying to organise our lives, but that's not necessarily that straightforward. If you have anything you'd like to mention to us, or if you'd like to have your own guesses at players, which you probably could easily do just by Googling it, you can do at our Twitter handles. I'm at MTH Simpson.
I'm at OGB Collins.
Of course, you can follow us at Scousers. Find us on YouTube, and of course, please like and subscribe on iTunes or other podcast services, because that is where you get us every month, and you can see all the stuff. And hopefully, if there's enough of you listening, then perhaps this is like we could actually do it on time. So that would be lovely. Please share it around and tell your friends. We are going to be pushing through for the rest of the season. It's starting to get to crunch time, Owen.
Squeaky bum time, as they say. Squeaky bum time.
Absolutely. But until next month, we will look forward to speaking to you again and doing some more crazy inane stuff. So thank you very much for listening, and goodbye.
Farewell.
Oh, I am a Liverpudlian, and I come from the Spion Cup. I love to sing, I love to shout, I get thrown out quite a lot. We support the team that's dressed in red. It's a team that you all know. It's a team that we call Liverpool, and to glory we will go. We've won the league, we've won the cup.